Good afternoon. Welcome in to PowerMizzou.com here on YouTube or the PowerMizzou.com podcast, however you may be listening and whenever you may be listening. Thursday afternoon, Gabe DeArmond here with you. We are going to take a little bit of a break from the football transfer portal to talk basketball because there is a big game coming up on Sunday at noon in St. Louis. Mizzou and Illinois get going again in the Braggin rights matchup. We're going to talk to Jeremy Werner here in just a couple of minutes. He is with Illini Inquirer, the Illinois site on the 24/7 Sports Network. We're going to get his take on it. If you guys have any questions, comments, put them in the chat while you're here with us. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Look at all the things across the bottom of your screen there. Twitter, Instagram. Well, Instagram's not there. Twitter, YouTube, whatever. Join us wherever you can join us. And we're going to bring Jeremy in now live from somewhere at the Illinois football stadium. Jeremy, what's going on, man?
Thank you for having me, Gabe. Yes, I found my way. I think I'm in the AD suite of Memorial Stadium. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, but I had to find a quiet place after the bowl prep press conference we just had. But hey, I get to say hi to Gabe in an official capacity. Welcome.
Right.
We are happy to have you as part of 24/7 Sports. I'm glad we reeled in the big fish, and I know we're better for it. So I know you own that beat, man. So we're happy to have you.
Yeah, appreciate it. We actually get to acknowledge that we talk and trade information here between Mizzou and Illinois now. All right, so the most important thing about Sunday, how furious are Illinois fans that this is a noon game on a Sunday? Because Missouri fans don't like it.
Oh, I'm sure they don't like it. I think my family likes it. The fact that I might actually have dinner with them that night is kind of nice. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to have. I think it's just the product of the calendar this year. But you know, that's a fun part about this game is everyone shows up for this 6 or 7 o'clock. Everyone's ready to go to Christmas holiday and no work the next day, no work for maybe a week, and you just get to let loose. It is one of the truly awesome environments and unique environments of covering college basketball and covering college sports for me. I mean, I know you covered Kansas, Missouri when that rivalry game was kind of going on, but it's different than a conference game, right? And I kind of love it that way. So, and it's really kind of regional. You know, a lot of Illini fans come from Chicago, but it's kind of different when you're that Metro East area Illini fan, when you're outnumbered by a lot of Missouri fans. But obviously downstate Illinois and Missouri fans have a different kind of rivalry. So it's kind of an interesting part, but we all know about the split down the middle, the atmosphere, but part of the great atmosphere is it's going into the holidays and everyone's letting loose. So yeah, I don't, you just got to get up a little earlier and act like it's a 12 o'clock football start, right?
Yeah, this whole get a full week off work thing, apparently these people do not work around the college football transfer portal. So I want to be one of those people this month.
Yeah, you were asking about like what are Illinois fans thinking about that, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm too focused on the transfer portal right now. I haven't even really thought about Sunday and the basketball game too much, which is why it's nice to come on with you. I can kind of focus on it a little bit.
Yeah, it is really weird. I mean, a week and a half ago, Missouri played Kansas. KU's #1 in the country, and like until that morning, Missouri fans weren't even talking about it, and it wasn't. Like, it's just what college basketball is now. College football has taken over 12 months a year. That includes December. But this one come, Saturday afternoon, whatever it is, will get everybody's full attention. I was looking through.
Can I weigh in on it? Just I have this thought coming to my head. Another reason why this one is weird is because Illinois fans are kind of talking about football, right? Like Missouri fans, like it's usually football has been kind of the major sport there. Football is not bad. It's always a basketball school, right? So, like, that's what makes this one a little bit different is Illinois fans are preparing for a Citrus Bowl after a 9-win season. They're wondering how can they get better after that 9-win season. So Luke Altmaier comes back. Who are you surrounding him with? So, yeah, it's like this is obviously a basketball school. Basketball is still #1, but football actually is piquing interest and has kept people interested past October, which is kind of rare here for Champaign.
Yeah, it could have been interesting. I mean, I think we were probably one Missouri play at South Carolina for Missouri and Illinois playing in the Citrus Bowl, 8 days after this game or whatever, which would have made it fun. I know they're supposed to renew that rivalry in a couple of years. We'll see what happens because, frankly, the college football playoff has told everybody you should schedule no one. So I wouldn't be surprised if one or both schools say, hey, we'd rather play somebody worse, but we'll see.
Yeah, I looked into that buyout. It's what, $500,000 for the school that wants to initiate it.
Is that right?
Yeah, I looked at that.
What if they both just come together and say, this is stupid for both of us, let's waive it?
The thing is, Gabe, I would get it. I would get it if
Right.
they decide to do that. And there's so much speculation about would Illinois just buy out of it. But isn't that what's supposed to be happening in college football? Aren't we supposed to have great games? Aren't we supposed to have Illinois, Missouri? And Missouri fans obviously have great memories of their rivalry games. They owned it. But like those are fun games. Like I don't know if you want it the first game of the year, but as a third game of the year, really kick off the season. Then you have 9 straight Big Ten games here. I think that would be a lot of fun to have, but that's not what it's about. It's
Right.
about getting the bowl games, and now it's about getting the college football playoff. And what we saw with the college football playoff, all respect to SMU, is that they reward wins more than anything. So why wouldn't you schedule more wins? It's like in college basketball, you're rewarding strength of schedule, and I love it because Illinois is now playing all these SEC teams and makes for a fun non-conference. In football, they continue to reward not having a strong strength of schedule, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, God bless you for doing this as long as you have and pretending that college football still might actually do something because it's good for the fans. But
Right.
all right, so let's talk about this game a little bit. First off, I was looking over Illinois stats, and I feel terrible for you guys because Illinois' top 2 scorers are Kasparis. I don't know. I can't pronounce his last name. And
I'm getting pretty good.
Like I would hate to type these names and say these names over and over.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty good at like the accented words, and I'm getting better at the pronunciations. He says it's Kasparis Yakashonis and Tomislav Ivisic. So yes, I'm getting to know the Eastern European, but that is the story of the season, right? I mean, I know we could both talk about just completely overturned rosters, but Illinois for the last couple of years has really invested in European recruiting, similar to Gonzaga did for all those years, and Arizona with Tommy Lloyd now came from Gonzaga, and it's paid off because those have been the 2 best players so far this season. And for Missouri fans that haven't seen, Kasper Sakashonis is one of the top players in the country, even though he's a freshman. He's going to have some ups and downs. He has some turnovers. He has some late game moments that they struggle with, but he's probably going to be a top 5, top 10 pick in the NBA draft, which Illinois has not had since Darren Williams. They haven't had a first round pick, or they just had one with Terrence Shannon, but they haven't had a lottery pick since Myers Leonard.
That's amazing. Look, if I covered Illinois, those kids would be Tom and Casper. That's just who they would be. All
KJ and Tommy. KJ and Tommy is what they go by. So that's what most people choose to do.
Okay, that would be fair. I was going to say because I would root for Will Riley and Trey White to be the leading scorers in every game. But I was talking with Drew King, who covers basketball for us earlier this week, and he was looking into Illinois a little bit. I mean, is it oversimplifying this to say when Illinois shoots well from 3-point range, they're going to win games? When they don't, they won't, because that is almost exclusively their MO so far this year.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that right now you kind of look at the Ken Pom profile of Illinois, and they're pretty good offense. I think they're top 30, but their defense is top 20, top 15, I believe at this point. I hadn't looked at it this morning, but I thought this team was going to be awful defensively, kind of like last year's Illinois team, but they would be great offensively. And they showed some great offensive games against Arkansas. As you said, they had 15 out of 31 threes. When they make threes, this team is capable of beating anybody. But what was surprising is they did not make threes against Tennessee and should have won that game. I know it was home, but they should have won that game because they played great defense, and it gave them a chance to win that game. Against Northwestern, I thought they played pretty good defense. They just didn't execute late. It's an offense that I think has to find some adjustments here, but it is an offense that is built on Kasper Sakashonis and ball screens with Tomislav Ivisic, who's a pick and pop 5, and then 3 shooters around him. Ben Humberkaus is an Evansville transfer. He's been struggling to shoot it lately, but his first 5-6 games were pretty dang good. He could shoot at a 40% clip through most of his career. Will Riley, another really talented freshman that's got a chance to be a one and done. I think he needs another year of strength if he wants to be a lottery pick, but he can really heat it up. And then Kylan Boswell is kind of a 2-way guard, really tough kid who's played well here recently. Trey White's hit some threes here recently, but that's how they play. But they've kind of gotten bogged down lately. They're kind of playing a slower tempo. And I think that's kind of exposed that this is kind of I don't want to call them soft, but it's kind of a slender team. Will Riley is going to struggle with guys who are strong. He struggled with bigger guys. Kylan Boswell's a little short, so finishing at the rim can become an issue. Tomislav Ivisic, he can post up, but finishing around the rim has been an issue for him. So it's kind of a finesse team offensively. So these strong physical teams like Northwestern and Tennessee have bothered them a little bit. But when they got up and down the court against Arkansas, another strong and physical team, and really got some space, this team can really go off. So I'm interested to see if there's any adjustments offensively, because defensively they've been way better than I thought. Kylan Boswell is one of the best perimeter defenders in the country. Kasparis has been way better than we thought defensively. But offensively, they're kind of gotten into ruts where they're just relying on Kasparis too much to create, and they're not finding enough easy buckets, easy possessions where they can get to the rim like Terrence Shannon did, or they can get to the free throw line like Terrence Shannon did.
Yeah, Missouri fans had nightmares about that. I think Terrence Shannon just shot 4 more free throws since we started the show. Listening to that description, it's interesting because, look, what Missouri wants to do is get out and run. They would love that. And it sounds like Illinois would too. I mean, Dennis Gates would be perfectly happy with a 92-85 game, and take your chances. I mean, that's when they were really good against Kansas. They were getting out and running. Now, the flip side of that is if Illinois struggles with big guys like Josh Gray is an interesting kid from Missouri because nobody's going to identify him as their best player. But he was their MVP, I thought, really in a game against Cal. And he's a guy that he had 10 rebounds against Kansas. He's happy to go down there and end the game with 2 points and 11 rebounds. And he's 7 foot, probably, I don't know, I would guess 255, 260. So what you're telling me sounds like, hey, the team's strengths match up. But if that's Illinois' weakness, if I'm Dennis Gates, I might try to be running a few things through Josh Gray on both ends.
Yeah, for me, I think Illinois' weakness, it's not as much the strength on the defensive end because they've actually held up well there. Like Tomislav is not a great individual defender, but he does do well on the block. It's a team that really forces you off the three-point line and away from the rim, right? They want you to take a bunch of mid-range too. So if you have a best player, if you got a DeMar DeRozan on their team, they're going to let DeMar DeRozan go off for mid-range jumpers. They don't care. They just play the math game that, hey, we're going to shoot threes, we're going to make threes, and we'll force you into those tough twos. But they've actually been pretty good around the rim. And what concerns me with a Missouri team that's got some bigger guards, I've seen Tony Perkins play a lot with him being at Iowa, is Illinois is just their lack of physicality on offense that can lead to turnovers, that can lead to easy points. And unlike last season, when Illinois had a Terrence Shannon, they don't have a great fast break offense. They don't have a great way of getting easy points when the shots aren't falling outside of Kasparis just being a future lottery pick, future top 10 pick. So that's what I'm interested to see if they have any other wrinkles. They can go 2 bigs. Merez Johnson Jr. is another great freshman. He's 6'9", 250. So if Tomislav struggles, they could put him on Josh Gray because he's a rebounding monster. He's big, physical. It's just, I think, finding the right combinations. And to be honest with you, Gabe, the last 3 games is just shooting the ball better is going to be really, really important for Illinois. And that's why I think getting up and down the court and running a little bit is going to be really important because that's just an easy way to get some of those shooters some space.
It is it's interesting. It is a matchup of 2 teams with almost completely different resumes, right? You look, Missouri's 10-1 and that 10-game winning streak and all that. Illinois is only 7-3, but Illinois has played 4 top 20 teams. Missouri has played Kansas and Memphis and virtually nothing else, right? So this is what you're talking about. In college football, Missouri is probably ranked 6 spots higher than Illinois simply because they've won. In college basketball, Illinois comes into this. I know they don't put lines out. My guess is Illinois is going to be probably a 3 to 5 point favorite that morning.
Yeah, I would take a couple point favorite, and I think that's deserved. I do look at Missouri's schedule. It's like, oh, they got Kansas win, but only one other top 100 opponent.
Yeah.
It's like, what are they? Now they've gained a lot of confidence, right, by going through that, and I'm sure that's what Dennis Gates wanted after a really tough year last year. But Illinois, this is a really important game for them. If they win this, I think they would be where we thought they would be, which is 5 games against high major opponents. They win 2 of them. They should have won 1 or 2 more, which is the case with Northwestern and Tennessee. But you've seen the ceiling of this team. You've also seen some flaws that can keep it from being a no doubt Big Ten title team, right? But the talent is there. Now they just got to figure it out. And always around this time of year is when Brad Underwood makes some adjustment because you have time to make adjustments. There's a lot of practice time around the holidays and very few games. So that's what I'm interested to see is now that he's got 10 games of sample size, 2 games where they lost it, a 10-point lead basically with 10 minutes left in both these games. What does he change? How does he change his team? That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. But yeah, I think these are two pretty even teams. And I think coming into the year, we would have thought Illinois would be pretty good. But Missouri looks much improved from last year, even if they aren't as tested as Illinois. But Illinois is still very young. So I'm wondering how much they grow up from learning from these two losses. They played well against Wisconsin last week. Like that was you thought they bounced back, learned what they had to close out a game. Then you get the number one team in the country here, and it's even a little bit tougher.
And should have beat. Like they had Tennessee beat until the last 60 seconds.
Yeah, watching that game, you didn't think that Tennessee was the number one team in the country, or definitely the better team.
For what it's worth, Tennessee is not the number one team in the South.
I don't think so either.
Like the country.
I think they're a top 10 team. I think they're a Final Four contender. But yeah, I just think it's just the timing of it is why they were number one.
Yeah, no question. I'm curious. You follow college basketball across the country, and Illinois has played 3 SEC teams already in Arkansas, Alabama, and Tennessee. They're 2-1 in those games. Missouri fans know a little bit about watching Nate Oates' team score 100 points, and they can do that in a heartbeat. But like there are people that want to discuss whether the Southeastern Conference this year is the best conference in the history of college basketball. I mean, just seeing 3 of the teams so far, and now they'll see a 4th. What's your impression of the SEC from afar?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I've seen some pretty good Big Tens here too. But man, the SEC,
some good Big 8s, Big 12s, Big East.
SEC fans have earned the superiority complex in football. That is for sure. But like for when it comes to basketball, I certainly think they're probably the most talented, especially this year. Now, whether it's as good as some of those ACC teams in the 2000s and 2010s, there's a couple of Big Ten years, but the Big Ten always just kind of lacks that top tier talent. Now that they're getting money involved, you're starting to see some of those programs like Illinois and Rutgers get some of these one and done. So maybe that's changing a little bit. But I think it's clear the Big Ten and the SEC are the best programs here, the best conferences. But the Big Ten's more a bunch of good teams. The SEC has some elite teams. I think Alabama's offense is as elite as it comes. And then I think Tennessee's defense is as elite as it comes. So Illinois has seen both of those. Arkansas, there's some talent there, as most John Calipari teams are. I think they have enough talent to do it. I think defensively they can get better, but Illinois just kind of owned them that day. You just saw more skill. Thought they were better coached on that day. But Arkansas certainly looks like a top 25 team. But for me, the 2 teams I saw, Alabama and Tennessee, certainly look like Final Four contenders, certainly look like teams that can compete for a national championship because they got age, they got offense, they got depth, they got big men. It's what you think the SEC and Big Ten money can buy, right?
Yeah, no question, man. And this is, like you mentioned, kind of a huge game for Illinois, huge game for Missouri, I think, not because they win this, they're 12-1 non-conference, and they should go into SEC play. And I mean, they open with an easy one. They're at Auburn, so that's obviously going to be a win. Auburn, not much talent this year, right? But that's
probably the best team, isn't it? Auburn,
I think it's the best. I think it's the best team in the country, and I don't think it's particularly close.
And Kentucky looks really good. Kentucky looks really good.
Kentucky does look good. Buzz Williams down at A&M. They've got a good team, so it'll be interesting. I think this is Illinois is a little more proven. This is probably a game where Missouri can earn something. But kind of wrap it up. What's this Illinois team's like floor and ceiling? Do you think?
I think the floor is an NCAA tournament team. Maybe they kind of struggle with consistency, win 10 games in the Big Ten, end up with 18, 19 wins and get in like an 8 or 9 seed. But they'll have the resume, I think, and the quad 1 victories to be that. I just think they're too talented, too skilled to be like a under 500 team in the Big Ten. The ceiling of this team, I think, is competing for a Big Ten championship. I think they could be a top 5 Big Ten team. I think the loss at Northwestern really hurts them. It was a chance for a marquee victory. And I think we're just going to see inconsistency with a team that relies on so many 18-year-olds. But I do think they have a higher floor because they have a lottery pick, another freshman in Will Riley that has a chance to be a lottery pick maybe next year, or a first-round draft pick later on in the first round this year. And then a guy like Kylan Boswell, I want to mention him. He's not the leading scorer on this team, but he might be the best overall player outside of Kasper Siakishonis so far this year. Avicic was one of those. He's kind of close to a double-double. But Kylan, he's one of the best perimeter defenders. And now he's starting to get to the free throw line. At Arizona, he kind of just stood around Caleb Love and some of those other guys and watched them shoot. Now he's finally attacking the rim. He's a big physical
Hey,
kid.
he's not alone in standing around and watching Caleb Love shoot the basketball.
Right. As people in Missouri would know. So like I think he's one of those key players that can lift the floor of this team. Trey White played at Louisville last year, which we all know is a dumpster fire. He's learning what it takes to win now and what his role is on a winner. So those transfers that have some experience are key, and they're starting to play well. Now the key is getting some of those newcomers to kind of get back on track outside of Casper Siakishonis. But I think when you have one of the best players in the country, most talented players in the country, you got some good veterans. The talent and skill is too good. And I'll be honest, even if Illinois loses to Missouri and they fall to 7-4, Brad Underwood's got a pretty good record in the Big Ten. So I just trust him to figure out what's the best way to employ this team. But they do have flaws. So they're young. They're not the most physical team. And right now they're not making shots. So, but that could flip in an instant. It's only been 2 or 3 games where they haven't shot that well. Before then, they were one of the best in the country.
All right, I lied. One more kind of a matchup thing. You mentioned free throw shooting, and it made me kind of think about Missouri goes to the free throw line more than anybody in the country, which is, especially having seen the Missouri-Illinois game last year, like they could not buy a free throw last year. They never got fouled. They've got guys, they're going like 29 times a game right now. What's Illinois like defensively avoiding foul? Like, is that a major concern for them, just letting Missouri parade to the free throw line in this game?
Like they don't have a lot of guys that commit a lot of fouls that are starters. They're guys off the bench. Perez Johnson Jr. is a freshman post player, so he's going to foul a lot. Dre Gibbs Allhorn comes off the bench, a ball of energy. He fouls a lot. But other than that, they've been pretty good and not fouling. But it depends on the day, depends on the referees. Here the other day against
Nobody knows.
Against Tennessee, they called 26 fouls in the first half, and we had like 45 free throws. It was insane. Just wasn't even a basketball game. So it depends on that. But I think they're good enough, sound enough defensively, which I'm surprised I'm saying this, that they kind of limit teams getting to the free throw line a little bit. Again, they're forcing so many tough twos. They do not turn teams over very much. It's not a team that's going to do that. They want you to take bad shots. So that's kind of how they force turnovers and get up and down or turnovers, I should say, and kind of get up and down the court. So they don't foul a ton, but it all depends on the referees, because Kylan Boswell is really good. And I'm telling you, Kaspers has been a way better defender. You think of a guy that's coming in as a first round draft pick type, one and done, who's so good offensively, you think he won't care that much about defense, but he battles, and he's a big body at 6'6", 205.
Cool. Well, appreciate you taking some time, man. I know it's a super busy month for all of us, super busy week, but sorry I won't be there in person. I will be watching this one. My guys will be, but enjoy St. Louis, man. It's always a good time.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Gabe.
All right, Jeremy. Have a good one. That is Jeremy Werner, Illini Inquirer. Those guys do a great job. I encourage you to go over there. Him and Derek Piper on the basketball side, and really, I've been friends with Jeremy for a long time, and every year leading up to Braggin rights, I've usually been on his radio show, and we catch up in St. Louis. So appreciate him taking some time. Glad to be on the same team as him. Guys, I don't know. There might have been 3 portal entries and 2 commitments in the 24 minutes it took me to do this, but we want to make sure to get you some basketball stuff. Drew King's going to have a great story tomorrow morning on Ant Robinson coming up, kind of previewing this game, and Drew and Henry will be in St. Louis, and Drew and I will be here live with you after the game. Do want to give you guys one heads up real quick. If you're looking for something to do on Sunday morning, I tweeted this, I posted it on our site, all that, but we're partnering up with the folks at the Bruning Law Firm in Ucraft Brunch Cafe in, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Keener Plaza at 700 Market Street in St. Louis, starting at 8 a.m. on Sunday. They're going to have a Bloody Mary bar, bucket specials, full brunch menu, and they're going to have shuttles to Enterprise Center to get you there in time for tip-off. So again, starting at 8 a.m., it's Ucraft Brunch Cafe down on Market Street. Drew King's going to be there. We're trying to get some other Mizzou luminaries there. I guess that would be a good word for it. So if you're looking for something to do before the Braggin rights game, do that. Go hang out at Ucraft. Tell Drew hi. Have yourself a drink or two, and then go watch Braggin rights at noon on Sunday. It's a weird time, but that's how it is this year, and look forward to it. We'll be here with you after the game, shooting for 2:45, 3 o'clock, something like that, when Drew gets set up in St. Louis. So back to the portal, guys. Wild couple days coming up. Appreciate you hanging out. We will talk to you next time. Before you leave, make sure If you're on YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast, which I'll put together right after this, share it on social media. Leave us a good review. See you next time.